I saw a dead person walking the old highway, and something impossible happened. I wasn't trying to find anything. I was just late. My boss kept me late, and the main interstate had a big wreck. I could sit an hour or take the old highway that cut around the orchards and the dry fields. I took the old highway. People at work had said stuff about it. Walkers. The mile marker with the little cross. I joked along. I'd driven it before. It's just a 2-lane road with bad shoulders and one gas station that's open all night. Boring. Faster. That was all I wanted. It was 9-something when I got on it. I remember because the radio cut out of a song and the clock on the dash said 9:14, and then it blinked and said 9:02. I slapped the side of the radio like that ever fixes anything. The air was on cold because the heater smelled a little. It always did that. I cracked the window a little because it made me feel awake. There are these long stretches out there with nothing. Dark fields. No porch lights. The line of the road is just 2 white lines and the reflectors. My GPS always drifts out there. Everybody's does. It makes the arrow jump to a farm road and back. I had the directions up just to see how much longer. 22 minutes, then 26, then 21. It's a joke, I said out loud. Just the towers. The first thing was the memorial. It came up on the right. I always pretend I don't see those, but this one flashed in my headlights and I couldn't not. White cross. Plastic flowers. Little solar light that looked dead. People stick photos on them sometimes. I didn't slow down. I just glanced. I remember thinking, I should bring batteries for that little light next time I'm out here. I'm that kind of person. I think about doing something nice and I don't do it. The radio went to static right after. Not clean static. There were little bits of voices in it. Syllables. Like radio was flipping between stations too fast. Then it settled on a very clear third-rate pop song. My GPS said my exit was in 3.4 miles. I relaxed again. Someone stepped into my lane. I didn't have time to think. I hit the brake and the horn at the same time. Tires squealed. The shape was human. Just a person in dark clothes. They walked straight out, turned toward me, and put a hand on the hood. I saw the smear of a palm. Everything boiled up hot in my head. The horn was blaring, and I was yelling without words. I didn't hit them. I felt the ABS shudder. The nose of the car dipped. Then they weren't there. I sat dead still in the road. The horn cut off because my hand came off without me knowing. My foot hurt from the brake. My chest hurt because I forgot to breathe. I reached down and put the gear in park because my hand needed to do something. The air coming out of the vents had gone cold, like freezer cold. I stared at the spot in front of the hood and it was empty. No one. Flat road. My headlights lit it up. Heat came off the engine and made the air look wavy. I said, "Hey!" out the window. My voice sounded dumb and thin. Nothing. There wasn't even the sound of a car passing somewhere else. It was just me and the engine and the click of the hazard lever I hadn't turned on. I killed the radio. I turned it back on. Static. Turned it off again. I looked in the mirror. Nothing behind. No taillights. I was alone. My hand shook. I pulled my phone off the charger to call 911, and the screen was black. Not dead. Just frozen on the home screen, no time showing. Weird. I held the power button. Nothing. I held it down longer. Nothing. I thought, okay, prank. Someone dressed up and tried to get me to wreck. People do asshole-ish stuff for TikTok or whatever. I put it in drive. I went forward slow. I figured if it was a prank, They'd be in the ditch laughing. But there was no one. I drove. Just got it up to 30, then 45. My heart calmed down to a fast beat instead of a fast beat. The hood had a print on it now. I could see it through the windshield when the light hit it right. 5 fingers. A palm. Smeared. Greasy. It looked wet, but when I tapped it at a red light later, nothing came off. Sorry, I'm ahead of myself. 2 miles more and I saw the little one's signs that show mile markers. 42. Then 43. The GPS said something like, turn right in a quarter mile, but there isn't a right turn there. It's a fence. The road doesn't have extra roads. It just runs straight with dirt tracks off it. It's an old highway, not a grid. I slapped the GPS. The arrow danced. My radio clicked twice. The clock said 9:09 now. I said, make up your mind like an idiot. I passed the memorial again. Same white cross. Same droopy plastic flowers with dust on them. Same little dead solar light. I knew it was the same because someone had tied a thin pink ribbon around the crossbar and the ends had blown to one side. It was a small mess. It was the same. I slowed down without choosing to. My stomach went cold. Okay, I said. I said it to the empty car. Okay, nope. I took the next exit. It was one of those ramps that swoops off, goes over a short bridge, and comes down to a 4-way. A single gas station sat on the corner with 3 pumps and a closed burger place next to it. I took the ramp too fast and felt the tires whine. My brain kept saying go to people. Just be near people. If this is nothing, fine. If not, I didn't know. People felt safer. The gas station was open. The lights were that hard fluorescent white. There was a guy inside. He had his feet up and a tiny TV on, and he looked bored. Exactly how a guy at a gas station at 9 would ever looks. I parked under the light. I kept it running because it felt like if I killed the engine, something would end. I got out and looked at the hood. The handprint was there. It looked darker now, like something had soaked into the paint. I touched it with one finger. Cold went through my finger like I'd put it on ice. I pulled my hand back and wiped it on my jeans. My jeans felt damp after. Hey, I said to the guy inside. I went in. The bell did a little chirp. It smelled like burnt coffee and Red Bull. That normal smell was a relief. Do you ever get kids running into the road out there? He looked up. He knew I was not just making conversation. He said, "You okay?" "Someone just tried to get me killed," I said. That's how it fell out. They walked out, touched my car. He stood up slow. He was this skinny guy with long hair pulled back. He peered at my car through the glass. He made this face like he couldn't see anything. "You want me to call?" "I tried to call," I said. I held up my dead phone. He said, "Payphone's out back." Kidding. He did a little smile because he thought it might help. It didn't. "Can I just sit a minute?" I bought a Gatorade I didn't want and a pack of gum. I sat on a little stool by the window. The Gatorade was too sweet. I drank it anyway. I texted my friend Mike to see if my phone would do anything. The text green bubbled and didn't say delivered. I tried to call him. The call pressed and then dropped. I watched the bars jump from 2 to 4 to nothing like a little game. The guy said, "You want me to look at your hood?" "It's fine," I said. "It's just a smudge." I didn't want to go back outside and have it be cold like that again. He looked at me too long. People can tell when somebody's shaken. He said, "I can follow you to the main if you want. I get off at 10. I said, I should be fine. It's dumb. There's that cross out there. I think I passed it twice. I think I got turned around." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Happens. GPS screws up out there. I tell people to stick to the county road." "I'll do that," I said. I paid and thanked him and walked back out. The air had that dry chill. I breathed it in. I told myself, I'll take the county road. I won't pass that again. I'll tail somebody. I'll keep my high beams on. When I got back in, the radio came back to life in this cough. It was a talk station and a woman laughing hard at something. Then it drifted and the laugh went slower like the tape was being pinched. I turned it off. The clock said 9:14. Again, I put my hands on the wheel and realized I was still shaking. I said, "Get it together." I pulled out. I took the 2 rights, the clerk said. The county road had a wooden sign. I went past the burger place. The road curved and dropped back toward the highway. I got this little piece because this was a different way. It had little reflectors, too. My GPS arrow froze and then hopped, then did that weird spin like it didn't know which way I was pointing. The county road met the old highway at a stop sign. I came to it. I looked left. I looked right. Nothing. I pulled onto the highway. Mile marker 43 was ahead on the right. The memorial flashed in my lights. The ribbon on the cross blew to one side. I laughed. That ugly sound you don't like hearing from yourself. "Nope," I said. "No." I passed it. My eyes flicked to my clock. 9:14. I tailed a truck after that. A big old Peterbilt with a faded company name on the side of the trailer and a bunch of lights. I got behind him, thinking, okay, this is Anchor. People say it gets weird when you're alone. Stick to someone else. The truckers know these roads. He went 60. I went 60. The lights gave me something to do with my eyes. I breathed better. I drank the rest of the Gatorade. I threw the bottle in the back. The radio muttered like someone had their hand on the antenna. Then clear. Then nothing. My phone buzzed all at once with 3 texts from Mike. "Sup?" and "Oo good?" And then, "Yo, call me." I called him. The call connected and then made a screaming feedback noise. And then I heard him say, "Hello? Dude?" It sounded like he was far away underwater. Then I heard another voice. I don't know how to say this without sounding stupid. The other voice said, "Please," and it was small and careful like someone learning a word. It was right up in my ear. My ear burned cold. I jerked the phone away and said, "No," to nothing. The call dropped. Mike texted, "WTF was that?" I couldn't answer. My thumbs didn't know how to put the words together. The trucker's brake lights flashed. He slowed. He turned onto an exit I didn't see until his turn signal lit it. I let him go. I wasn't going to follow onto some farm thing. I stayed straight. The memorial came up again. My stomach turned. I felt like I had been circling a drain. I braked without meaning to. I put my hazards on and pulled onto the gravel shoulder. The gravel made this crunch that sounded too loud. I sat and put my forehead on the steering wheel. I tasted metal in my mouth like when you bite foil. I looked in the side mirror. There were footprints in the gravel. New. They walked along the passenger side of my car and ended at the back door. There are never footprints by your car out on the side of the highway. They weren't mine. They were smaller than mine. Bare feet, I think. The gravel had sharp little points. The prints were clear. The indentations were very crisp, like it had rained, but it hadn't. It hadn't rained for weeks. I said, "I don't want this," out loud. Not like a prayer, just like a whine. I got out. I don't know why. My skin pulled tight all over like it does when I'm too cold. The air that poured out of the car around my legs was colder than the air outside. My breath didn't fog. It was not that cold, but the air near the car wasn't right. I walked around to the passenger side and looked down. The last footprint was half under the door. It just ended there, like the person had stepped into the car without opening it. The door was locked. It had stayed locked. I had been alone. That part mattered to me. It's stupid. Of course I was alone, but my hand kept checking that the lock was popped. It was locked. I pressed my palm to the glass and it was cold. That ugly cold all over again. The glass felt like a freezer pack. I turned toward the memorial. It wasn't far. 30 feet maybe. I could reach it if I walked fast. I thought, just read it. Maybe reading it will make it normal. I walked over. Little things like rocks moved under my shoes and my brain noticed every crunch like it meant something. The cross was wood, white paint flaking. Someone had stenciled letters on it. There was a name, not a long name. 4 letters, first name. I read it. I knew it. I knew this wasn't random. I knew it in my stomach first. Maya. My jaw clenched so hard my ear hurt. I read the last name. It was the one from the news story. The year on it was 4 years back. The date was late September. I knew the night. I knew the weather. It was the night I drove this road after I'd had a fight with Kim. She had told me not to take the old road because it was late and she wanted me home. I took it anyway because I always do the opposite when I'm mad. My phone had been buzzing then. She asked where I was, why I wasn't answering, why I was always choosing work over everything else. I saw a car pulled over that night with hazards blinking. A girl with a phone light up, making little circles. I moved to the other lane and I kept going. I said, I don't have a spare. I can't fix flats, out loud to no one as I passed. Like that made not stopping okay. In truth, I saw her face under the weight of the phone, and I felt a terror of getting pulled into something. The story the next day said a driver hit a girl walking back to her car after her car died. Hit and run. They hit her and left. She died on scene. There were pictures of smiling friends in candlelight. I looked at it and felt bad for 5 minutes. Then I folded it up in my head and sat on it. I never told Kim that I saw her. I never told anyone I passed by. I told myself, it wasn't my fault. I didn't hit anyone. I was nothing to her. It was someone else who killed her. That's true. But it was also me under the not help part. I didn't call. I didn't stop. I was tired. It was late. I wanted to be home. I read Maya's name on the cross. My teeth buzzed. I felt the cold lift off the car and come over to me. The little solar light flickered twice, even though it was dead. It made that cheap little flicker, then dark. I stepped back. I wanted to puke. I wanted to leave. I also felt like if I got in the car and left without saying anything, I would just loop it again and again and never get out. I'm sorry, I said to the wood. That's nothing. That's a nothing sound. The wind blew and flapped the stupid ribbon. I swallowed hard. I'm sorry I didn't stop, I said. I saw you. I was an asshole. I should have stopped. I should have called. I know that doesn't fix it. I know. My face burned. Tears. I hate crying. It feels weak and messy. I cried anyway. I tried to wipe my face on my sleeve and my sleeve was already wet somehow. I thought it was the cold from the car. It wasn't. It was just me. A car came from the other way then. Headlights turned my shadow long. I moved off the shoulder. The car went by slow like they were looking at me. A woman drove. She didn't stop. She looked at me like people look at someone on the side of the road. Passing interest. Then gone. I walked back to my car. I opened the door and the inside breathed cold at me again. I got in. My fingers were stiff. I started it. It had been on the whole time. I don't even remember turning it off. The dash came alive, and the clock said 9:14. It made me want to laugh again and break something. I put my forehead to the wheel again and let the anger burn down to something else. I called 911. My phone sang the little tone like it had charge again. It had 3 bars. It connected. 911, what's your emergency? The woman said, normal, bored, busy voice. I need to report, I said. My mouth felt cotton. I swallowed. It happened a long time ago. 4 years. I was on the 17A, near mile marker 43. There was a girl on the side. I didn't stop. I didn't call. There was a hit and run later. I saw her before. I know that's maybe nothing. I know. But I should have called. I should have told someone. I'm telling you now. My name is, I gave it. I gave my plate. I gave my address. I said what I saw. I saw her. I didn't stop. The 911 lady didn't know what to do with me. I could hear it. She was quiet a second. Then she said, okay, can you hold for highway patrol? Don't hang up, okay? I sat there with the tone in my ear and the cold blowing on my knuckles, and I listened to my breath sound ragged. A man came on. He asked me the questions. He sounded tired but serious. You're saying you were a witness that night, he said. I'm saying I was a person who should have stopped, I said. If you want to write me up for something, do it. I'm here now. I'm at the mile marker now? Stay there, he said. I have a unit near you. Don't leave. I clicked my hazards on. The blinking lights looked stupid against the blank fields. I saw something move in the reflection on my windshield. A shape came up next to my door. I heard it this time. Gravel. Bare feet. I held the wheel and tried not to look. I looked. There was a girl standing by my door. She was too thin. Her hair hung flat. She wasn't see-through. It wasn't that fake. She looked like someone standing by your door. Her face had this, takes too long to make expression on it, like her muscles were tired of doing it. She touched the window. The grease of her hand made a twin to the handprint on the hood. My chest hurt like I had run too hard. I could not hear the phone anymore, though I knew the patrol guy was still talking. The girl bent slow and looked at me with this blank, patient look, like she was watching a dog learn a trick. She opened her mouth. It made a dry sound like paper. Then she whispered something that had more air than voice. Stay, she said. I nodded. I couldn't make a sound. Something left my shoulders. I leaned back and I let my head hit the seat. I kept my eyes on her hand so I didn't have to look up into her eyes. I say she like Maya, and that's what my head said, but it felt wrong to think any real name like that while looking at this thin thing. She was gone between one blink and the next. I didn't see her move. One blink. There. Next blink, the space was open, and my window just showed the blank hip-high grass out past the gravel. The patrol guy's voice banged into my ear again. You still there, sir? Yes, I said. I'm here. I sat like that until I saw red and blue in my mirror. It wasn't long. A younger trooper got out, hand rested on his belt, not making it a thing. His vest made him look squared. He said my name. I said yes. He took my license. I told him the story again, while my mouth tried to hide behind my teeth. I told him my part, and he wrote it down and looked at me sometimes with a look that wasn't judgment, just strain. People say they don't judge, but you can tell when someone does and when they don't. He didn't. He said, "I'll file this. It may not change much, but it's the right thing. People think it doesn't matter if they weren't the one with the bumper. It matters." "I know," I said. I did know now. I could feel it in my stomach like a knot that was loosening. Another set of headlights came up while we were talking. They were weaving a little. The trooper turned. He put his hand up. The car drifted toward the shoulder like someone sleepy. He turned quick toward his patrol car, tapped his lights up, and went into do something mode. He gave me his hand like, "Wait," and then he was walking fast into the road. He waved the weaving car over with one hand up and one hand down. The car corrected last second and went straight. He stood there in the lane a second, watching it go. Then he walked back. He looked at me and he had this face like, "You see? He didn't say it. He didn't have to. Sometimes you stop and it changes one thing. Sometimes that's the whole point." He took my statement. He gave me a number and a folded piece of paper with a case number. He said I might get a call. I said fine. He shined his light toward the memorial and asked if I had moved it. I said no. He said he checks it when he can. He said, "People put stuff. Sometimes it blows away." I swallowed. "I can buy a battery for the light," I said. It was nothing, but I said it. "Do what you want," he said. He wasn't being rude. He was telling me I could do what I needed. He pulled away. I sat in my car with the hazards off and the engine running. Everything sounded normal. The air from the vents was just air. My clock said 9:38 now. My GPS map stopped spinning. It showed the blue line going straight, 16 minutes to the main. I looked at the memorial one last time. The ribbon hung there. The little solar light did a single warm blink, nothing to do with anything. It was probably the charge it got from my headlights. Whatever. I drove. The road went on, and it didn't fold back on me. Mame. I didn't see the mile marker again and again. I passed it once and it got small behind me and was gone. The radio tuned back into my station like nothing had happened, and a corny ad came on for the car wash. I laughed, and it didn't sound ugly this time. I rolled my shoulders. I called Mike and told him I'd call him back later. He said, "Are you good?" And I said, "Yeah, I will be. I need to make a couple calls in the morning." It wasn't magic fixed. I still got shaky when a person was on a shoulder for a while after. I pulled over too much. I stopped for everybody. I kept jumper cables in the trunk and an old blanket. I told Kim about the girl. Kim just listened. She left me a year after that anyway for other reasons. That part is life. A week after, a detective called me. I went down and I sat in a room with a rip in the cushion and said what I saw with a recorder on. They said thanks. They didn't arrest me because not stopping isn't illegal in the way people think if you aren't involved, but it was on paper now. My name was attached to my not great choice, and I was okay with that. I washed the car. The handprint on the hood didn't come off. It faded a little. It stayed like a shadow, like oil that never dried. When the light hit it right, it looked wet. It was always cold when I put my palm over it. I don't show it to people. It would sound like bragging. It would sound like a campfire story. But at night, if a car is pulled over and I see somebody waving their little light, I stop. And I keep the engine running. And I stay. Yours were both. Wait, before you go, don't forget to subscribe. It's the best way to make sure you don't miss the next one. And while you're here, Hit like it keeps the channel going and helps more people find these stories. Go ahead, watch another. You've got time, right? See you in the next one.